All right, guys. This is a set of five questions that we discussed in our last live webinar that we conducted in Macrotary. Uh, we have discussed a total of 16 questions in the webinar, and this is one set of it. We have also shared these five questions as question of the day in our Telegram channel. So we are providing the video solution of these five questions as it was shot in the actual webinar. There was one correction in question number two. The corrected question was uploaded in the Telegram channel as well as in our handouts when we uploaded it in the live webinars. So there's one small correction in question number two. Boy, while calculating the average of consecutive natural numbers starting from one. So that would be consecutive, not some natural numbers. Otherwise, the answer is cannot be determined. So this is the five questions. If you have not tried it, just try it now, and we'll be moving to the solution of these five questions now. This is an interesting set of five questions. The first one is pretty logical. If you understand this logic, then you can solve it in what less than 10-15 seconds or something. Just don't misread the question. If you misread the question, you might get it wrong. We're looking for which of the following can't be the ratio of ages after 25 years. So don't get that wrong. Anyhow, I'll just explain this in details. So you have ratio of ages of A and B in the is currently 7:11. So this is the current ratio of A and B. So for this question, I'll just explain this idea in a little from the basic itself. I have discussed this in some of our classes in percentage itself, I believe. When comparison of ratios, I have discussed there itself. But let us consider that the ages are 7K and 11K as of now. Now, after 25 years, this value will increase by 25, but the increase of 25 will be out of 7K, right? And this value will increase by 25 also, but this increase will be out of 11K. It is pretty obvious to check this that 25 out of 7K is a higher percentage than 25 out of 11K. K being whatever, because K will be something positive for sure, right? So 25 out of 7 is more than 25 out of 11. So obviously 25 by 7K should be more than 25 out by 11K. And whenever we have a higher increase in the higher percentage increase in the numerator, than the denominator, the fraction is increasing. So whatever is the ratio here will be more than this ratio. So effectively, what we are looking for is which of the following is not an increase in the ratio. So that is what the question is. So whichever is an increase in the ratio, we are going to ignore that. So can't be the ratio after 25 years. It is supposed to increase, right? Now, very easy to check that 7 is to 11, 7 is to 9, 7 by 11, 7 by 9. Obviously, 7 by 9 is higher, right? So this can work out. So when I'm putting a tick, it's not the answer. It's just that it can be. So we are looking for the crosses. So 7 is to 9 is definitely possible. Even 9 is to 11 is possible, right? I mean, 7 by 11, 9 by 11, 9 by 11 is higher, right? I don't even have to write that. So this is obviously also possible. Now, one of the option has to be an answer. You can't even have this as an answer anymore because a couple of them are can be possible. So the answer has to be C. So only this one should not be possible. So let's check this if you want. So you can check this in a lot of different ways. For these small numbers, you can even cross multiply and stuff. It's nothing no harm in that. It's 91 on this side and 88 on this side. I mean, you can check that this is coming out to be 88 and this is coming out to be 91. So obviously, this is bigger. So this can never happen, right? I hope you can see this greater than side on the right hand side. Or you can take it as a percentage. 1 by 11 is 9.09. So 7 by 11 should be 63.63. 1 by 13 is slightly less than 7.7. So 8 by 13 should be slightly less than 61.6. Obviously, 63 point something is obviously more than 61.6. So again, you can directly check that. Or you can check it using the same comparison idea, 1 by 7 here and 2 by 13 here. So 1 by 7 is 2 by 14 and this is 2 by 13. So I hope you can see the percentage increase in denominator is higher. So obviously the value is reducing. So this should be greater. So 7 by 11 should be greater than 8 by 13. So only 8 by 13 is not possible. The ratio is supposed to increase after 25 years. So the answer is option C. Now, question number two is a famous type. I mean, I think even you guys have seen a lot of these questions, in online or something, even in our handouts and all. First thing, there are a couple of ideas that you can combine to get the answer very quickly. Um, Now, it says, by the way, it should say consecutive natural numbers, by the way. I think those who have got it just got it correct. Anyhow, I'll correct this in the handout. So, a boy, while calculating the average of consecutive natural numbers starting from 1, missed one number. He calculated the average to be 25 1 by 7. And we're looking for the number that he missed out, right? Now, if we have consecutive natural numbers, so that is, let's say there are n number of natural numbers that we had to begin with. So we have 1 to n initially. Now, the average of this lot, this is an AP series, right? So the average will be simply first term plus last term divided by 2. So that is 1 plus n by 2. This is the initial average that we have, right? And the other thing is, the final average should not change by too much. For example, in this scenario, even if we remove, let's say, the highest number, so if we remove n, still the average will be, once you remove n, the remaining numbers are 1 to n minus 1. So the average will again be average of first term and last term because it's still an AP. So in this case, you're getting n by 2, right? You can test this out with some random values also. You get the same thing. Check that the difference is half. So the difference will never be more than half. If you remove the lowest number, 1, you can check that out yourself. It will increase by half. So whatever it is, the average will never change by more than half. So if I know that the final average is this 25 1 by 7, then this initial average, so this was the initial average, this number or this value has to be less than this plus half and more than this minus half. So in this range, right, of half a deviation from this final average. So the change in the average should not be more than half. So what I do is I don't exactly add half and subtract half. What I can directly claim is something like this. See, understand this. I mean, this 1 by 7 is definitely less than zero point 0.5, right? So this value is less than 25.5 for sure. So if I add zero point 0.5 to it, it will be 26. So effectively, we can say this part first, that it will be definitely less than 26, not even less than equal to. Uh, Again, if I subtract half from it, see, if I ignore this part as of now, so 25 minus half is effectively 24.5, right? But because it is, there is something more than 25 here. So if I think about it, this average, the initial average should be more than 24.5, because if I add half to this, I'll get 25. I won't reach this point, right? And we already figured out the average should exclusively have a difference of maximum of half. You cannot have more than half as a difference between the initial average and final average. So just resolve this, you'll get a inequality of n, or a range of n, that is. Just multiply 2 and subtract 1 on both the sides. So 26 into 2 is 52 minus 1 is 51. And 24.5 into 2 is 49 minus 1 is 48. So you get the range of n directly. The other thing that you have to understand from this average, so this is one idea. The other idea that you have to understand is when you're looking at the final average, what is the final average? It is total divided by number of items, right? And what is the number of items? We have n minus 1 items left after one item has been removed. We started with n numbers, right? So after we remove one number, we have n minus 1 items remaining. And this value, this average, just think it an improper fraction. It should be something by 7, isn't it? So what we now know is this n minus 1, this denominator here, should be some multiple of the 7, because only then there will be some cancellation and you will have 7 remaining, isn't it? So n minus 1 should be a multiple of 7. So we have these two ideas generated. So these are the two ideas that you have to generate first. So I'm going to take the part that is above now. I mean, take off the part that is above now, and I'll just work on this. So I'll just take this part off. So what we have is these two ideas. Now, always when you combine these two ideas, you should land at one single value. What I do is from this n, the range of n, that is, I'll always figure out the range of n minus 1, because that is easier to find mentally even. So n minus 1 should be ranging from 47 to 50, right? I mean, in between 47 and 50. And check, there is only one multiple of 7 that you can find here, and that is 49, isn't it? So effectively, we know that n minus 1 is 49, or effectively n is equal to 50. So we started with all the numbers from 1 to 50. So the rest of it just work with the total, because in this case, working with total will be faster than with offsets, because you have that 1 by 7 thing that will not be very good to work with. So if you think about the total here, total is 50 into 51 by 2 n into n plus 1 by 2. So just I'll not multiply this completely. I'll just keep it as this 25 into 51. Let me just write this properly. 1 second. 25 into 51. So this is the total that we had initially. And also final set of numbers, the total is simply, we have 49 numbers remaining, right? So we have 49 numbers who has an average of 25 1 by 7, right? So it's something like this. So check this out. I mean, this is like 49 into 25 plus 49 into 1 by 7, which is simply 7, right? So we just have to take a difference of these totals to find the number which is subtracted. So the reason I put it in this way is now it is easy to calculate even. I think many of you will do this mentally as well. So the number that we took off is simply the difference of these two. This 25 into 51 minus 25 into 49 minus 7. So this part is 25 into 2, which is 50, minus 7 is 43. So it's easy to work out the calculation with this total in this case. So always work out with total for the last part. So the answer here is 43. I hope that is understood. For number 3, a man gets 90 marks in his 11th exam. So this is the 11th exam that is mentioned already. And as a result, his average of all the exams increases by an integer. So it increases by an integer, right? So whenever we have anything related to the increase bit, offset is very fast, right? We already have that discussed in our classes. So think it in this way. For the previous 10 exams, suppose the average was A. So on the 11th exam, when this person scores this 90 marks, this 11th exam should be bringing, first of all, something extra into the group of exams, right? Only then you can have an increase in the average. So this 90 should be more than A, first of all, that is for sure. So 90 minus A is what is the extra part that this particular exam brings to the group of exams. And this extra bit should be distributed over the 11 exams to calculate the increase in the average. So this is the idea we have already discussed in classes, right? So this is the increase in the average. Straightforward, you can figure this out. So the question tells us that this thing has to be an integer value, or in other words, this 90 minus A should be a multiple of 11. That is what the question is. So just check the option, which are the following. Anyhow, these kind of questions will tell you. So which of the following could have been this initial average, and the initial average is A. So just check this out. 90 minus 13 is 77. So 77 divided by 11 is actually an integer. 77 is a multiple of 11. Don't mark this out. There is an option all of the above. So just check one more. 90 minus 24 is 66. So this also works out. So answer is straight away all of the above. You can check the other one. You'll get 55 in that case. But that is not required, because anyhow, if there are two options correct, the answer has to be all of the above. So that is it for this question. Let's go to question number 4. A type of this question number 4 has already been discussed in one of our previous webinars, I believe, this weighted average technique. So I'll just repeat that. It's just one layer above of it. So there's one additional thing that is added to it. So for question number 4, it says an iron smith has at his disposal 2 different ores having different iron concentration in them. He mixes 6 gram of A with X gram of B in one case, and Y gram of A with 4 gram of B in another case. In either case, the concentration of the iron in the mixtures is found to be the same. So after the mixing is done, the mixtures have the same concentration of iron. So we started with different concentration of iron in A and B, but after these two types of mixing, so there are two types of mixing happening. One case you're mixing 6 with X, and another you're mixing Y with 4. And after that, both the mixtures have equal concentration of iron ore. So that is what the question means. And the thing that we're looking for in how many ways could the ironsmith have achieved this result given that X and Y are integers. So we're looking for number of ways, right? So we'll come to that part in a while, but let us understand the starting part. Again, this part you guys will have understood this because we have discussed this in one of our previous webinars as well. But let me just write this down. So just variables to represent this. Let us say the iron ore A had A% iron in it. The B had B% iron in it, and both the mixtures after the mixing they have equal. So let's say that has M% iron in it. As simple as that, right? So when you're mixing the first way, so you're mixing A% with B% to get M%, but you're mixing it in the ratio 6:X, isn't it? Just let me write this properly. 6:X. So this is one type of mixing that is happening. On the other hand, we are again mixing A% with B% to get M%. And this time around, we are mixing it in the ratio Y:4, right? So Y gram of A and 4 gram of B. On this case, we had 6 gram of A and X gram of B. So keep the order correct. Otherwise, you'll get it wrong. So you have something like this, right? Y:4. Now, this is the basis of weighted average or alligation process, right? If you're mixing two items to get a final average, only the ratio matters. As long as the ratio is equal, the final percentage will be equal. So it's vice versa for two items as well. If you have more than two items, then that is not mandatory. But when you're mixing two items, if you're getting the same final average, so you should be mixing in the same ratio. The ratio has to be equal. So if effectively what we have is something like this, 6/X is equal to Y/4. So we are looking for number of solutions that can work out here. So this part is the other thing that you have to understand here. So I'll just elaborate this here. So we have to find the number of solutions for 6 into 4. I think that is understood. So I'll just write the number. So XY equal to 24, right? And X and Y are both integers. So if X and Y are both integers and X into Y is 24, so effectively X and Y are both factors of 24, right? So all you're looking for is number of factors, because understand this, if I consider X as 1 and Y as 12, that mixing will be different from X as 12 and Y as 1. This will be a different mixing, right? Because if I put X as 1, then this is mixed in the ratio 6:1. And if I pick up 12, then this is mixed in the ratio 6:12, which is different ratio. So all of these have to be considered. Sorry, why did I put 1 into 12 and 12 into 1? So that is 1 into 24. I think that was understood anyhow. So this is 1 into 24 and 24 into 1. You can take 2 into 12 also. But effectively what I mean to say is it can be interchanged. The X and Y can be interchanged. So put it in this way, if I consider all factors of 24 as a solution of X, automatically you get a factor for Y, right? So don't worry about Y. Just worry about any one of them. So 24, so for X, you will have all the factors of 24 as a solution. So all you have to do is just count the number of factors. So this part is in numbers. I mean, those who have not done numbers as of now, I'll just elaborate this a bit. So 24 is 2 cube into 3 to the power 1. You'll obtain a factor of 24 by multiplying a factor of this number with a factor of this number. Now, what are the number of factors of 2 cube? It's very easy to find because it's a prime number. It just has one prime factor, 2. So 2 cube is having factors 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, and 2 to the power 3, right? So there are 4 possible factors here. And correspondingly, this will have 2 possible factors, right? So 3 to the power 0 and 3 to the power 1. The number of factors of 24 will be given by just multiplying these two numbers, because with 2 to the power 0, you can pick either 3 to the power 0 or 3 to the power 1. Similarly, for 2 to the power 1, you can pick up 3 to the power 0 or 3 to the power 1. So similarly, for each power of 2, you can pick up 1 power of 3. So you have 4 into 2, total of 8 possible ways. So that will be the answer to this question. So I think that I hope that was understood. If you have any doubts, just ask in the chat right away. Let me go into the next question. Number five. I'm not sure where, but either in the live classes or in our topic lessons, one of these two has the basic idea behind this type of question. So I'll just elaborate this once more rather. Whenever you have a question like this, so first of all, let me just indicate the important part. So the cows are grazing on a field, that is fine. The grass is growing at a constant rate over and above the initial amount of grass. So there are two factors here. So there is an initial amount of grass already on the field, and the grass is also growing at a constant rate over the period of time, right? So something like this has to be done in a different way, because what you have to understand is, if you take the two scenarios that are presented, 20 cows take 12 days to finish off the work or clear all the grass. 30 cows do it in 6 days. Depending on the number of days, the total work will change, right? Because the grass is also growing at a constant rate, right? So we cannot assume the total work to be constant in these type of questions. So what you would rather do is you assume that one cow eats one grass in one day, something like this. So let's start with this assumption. So assumption is this: one grass. So one cow in one day eats one grass, something like that. So basically the efficiency. So we have assumed the efficiency in this way. And now we'll figure out two things which will be helpful to solve any question of this type. So we'll first of all figure out the initial amount of grass with this assumption and the rate of growth. So let me call this growth rate itself. So the growth rate of the grass per day. So this is something I'll figure out per day. Okay, so these two things we are going to figure out. So let's look at the data that is already presented. So first thing it says, if there are 20 cows, they take 12 days to finish all the grass, right? But with this assumption, we know that 20 cows grazing for 12 days will finish off 240 grass, isn't it? So that is how this works, right? I mean, one cow eats one grass on one day. So obviously 20 cows in 12 days will finish off 240 grass. Similarly, the next data tells us 30 cows do it in 6 days. So 30 cows in 6 days finish off 180 grass. And please understand, in both the cases, they are clearing the field, right? So they clear all the grass in this scenario and do it. So it's the same thing, right? So they're clearing all the grass in the field. So if they are finishing it off, so what it implies is that in 6 days, we had 180 grass in total, and in 12 days, we had 240 grass in total, right? So effectively, what we know is in 6 days, the 6 extra days, right? So in the 6 extra days, there are 60 grass growing, right, in the field. That is how they can consume. But otherwise, where did this extra 60 grass came from? They must be eating whatever has grown in those extra 6 days, right? So this gives us the growth rate, first of all. So the growth rate is 10 grass per day, something like this. This is G, by the way, written. Just 1 second. 10 grass per day. Also, what about the initial? Now, it depends on the data that is presented. We can directly work with these two. I think this is pretty obvious to see. Whatever was initial, we already know that in 6 days, 60 grass has grown. So obviously the initial quantity has to be 120 grass, right? Or you can, if you don't have this parity always, what you can do is you can just use this growth rate to figure out with whichever data you want. So what I mean to say is, after 6 days, the cows have finished 180 grass in total, right? In the second scenario. And we know that in 6 days, 60 grass has grown, right? So that is what the growth rate implies. So where does the 120 grass come from? That should be the initial quantity, right? So once we have got these two numbers, now our job is done. Whichever variation of this question has been given, we can figure this out very quickly. So let's take up this variation. So we have, so we are looking for how long will it take 12 cows to clear the field of any grass. So put it in this way, what happens if 12 cows are actually grazing the field? So first of all, we have this initial quantity of 120. Now on each day, there will be a growth of 10 grass per day. And because there are 12 cows grazing the field and each cow grazes one grass every day, so there will be a reduction of 12 grass every day because of the 12 cows. So every day you will have a reduction of 2 units of grass on the initial quantity, right? So that is what the perspective is. Because initial quantity every day will increase by 10 and reduce by 12. That is where the change will happen, isn't it? So if the initial quantity is changing by 2 units per day, this is the effective change. In order to reduce this to zero, you have to take 60 days. So the answer is 60 days. It could have been asked in a different way also. So suppose the question is how many cows, or let me just verify that if that is possible. Just 1 second. Yeah. So, how many cows should graze the field if the task has to be completed in 20 days, let's say? So, in this case, we would have approached in a different manner, slightly different manner, but the same idea. So, we have 120 initial grass, and the growth rate is 10, right? So, in 20 days, there will be 200 grass grown, and this is the total amount of grass that we have to finish off again in 20 days only, right? So this is the initial quantity, this is the grass grown in 20 days, so we have to finish this all off in 20 days. So what is the requirement? So we need 16 grass eaten every day, and if we need 16 grass to be eaten every day, we need 16 cows for that. So if this question is asked in a reverse manner, you can solve it in this way. So it is just this assumption that you have to take, and once you have taken this assumption, these type of questions becomes very easy. So that's it for these 5 questions. Pretty interesting ones. I hope everybody understood this. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the solutions of the questions, these 5 questions. Pretty interesting questions on arithmetic, something which enables you to think in the basic, from the basic level itself. This is our training method also in Mathoratory. So if you're willing to try out some courses, we have a host of trials available. I'll leave the relevant links in the description. You can take the comprehensive course, or you can just go for the live webinars, whichever you like to register for. And if you did like the video, enjoyed it, then press on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and also press on the bell icon, that is the notification icon, or rather the notification bell. If you use an YouTube app in your mobile phones, you'll automatically get a notification if you're pressed on the bell icon as soon as you upload a new video. So thanks for joining in, and and I hope that you have a very enjoyable preparation ahead. All the best for CAT. Thank you.